Are you feeding your fish high quality food? You don't know if you don't read the label. Stay tuned. I have some ideas and a product spotlight for you. What's up, YouTube? This is Racing's Natural Aquariums coming to you today with a product spotlight. When you're in live streams or watching somebody's video about food and things, what to feed, what's a good brand of food to feed your fish, I happened to go to a chain store yesterday to look for something, and I said, well, I do have high quality food. I have Hikari, I have Aquarium Co-op food, I have Omega-1, I have frozen, I have flake, I have pellet, you name it, I have it. And it all serves well. All my fish are healthy, they're growing well, they're reproducing, and my water parameters aren't all over the place. The snails that I have in there, which I didn't put in there, they hitchhiked. They're doing well, and they're doing their job keeping algae at bay. And the tank is healthy. So I do use Omega-1, I do use Hikari, I do use frozen Omega-1 brine and bloodworms. I have freeze-dried bloodworms, I have freeze-dried brine, and I have fish fry food, which I got from Corey Aquarium Co-ops. And before I get into this, I started feeding them the foods that I got from Aquarium Co-op, the brine freeze-dried cubes, and the bloodworms, and the fish fry. And the fish fry is a big hit with every single fish in my tank, whether they're in the upper water column, the middle, or the bottom. When I squeeze a little bit in there and it slowly starts to sink, the fish go nuts. They all go after it and they all eat it, which is a good thing on how it slowly sinks into the tank. Everybody gets to eat. Nobody is out competing one another for food. So, sorry about that. If you get the chance, go to aquariumcoops.com and check out the fish fry food, as well as the freeze-dried bloodworms and the cube krill or brine shrimp. Your fish will thank you for it. So, and I also have shrimp that, when I suddenly squirt a little bit in there, my shrimp just suddenly appear out of nowhere, and I may not have seen them for weeks. So, at any rate, this little product spotlight is kind of brought up because I always hear, in the live streams, or the questions come up, what's the best food to feed my fish? What's a good quality food? Fish will pretty much eat anything unless it's really that bad. You may see a fish kind of shy away from it. But while I was out yesterday and I picked this up, I was reading labels of this brand, which is Aqueon, as well as some of the other brands, some lesser known names, some top of the lines. And what I did notice that when you look at a lot of the ingredients, they're fillers. Very little fish content in those. The Aqueon food that I have actually has fish meal, which is made up of herring and other mixed fishes. It does have some fillers in it, and you're going to find that with any food. But this particular brand here for tropical granulars, slow sinking, also has in it spirulina, fish oil, squid meal, spinach, some various vitamins. So to me, at least in my opinion, it's a good food because a large part of the makeup is of fish meal, not so much preservatives or additives or fluff. Now in the shrimp pellets, this has the shrimp meal. It has whole fish meal, again, herring and mixed fish. It does have some fillers and some preservatives, which, like I said, you're gonna find that, or it's just gonna rot in the container. This also has some fish oil in it, as well as some other vitamins. And with this, it was $6.99, and it's 6.5 ounces, natural ingredients and colors, so that you don't have, FD6 red dye or whatever. But when I got this, I couldn't believe when I opened it, because usually there's that little gap of air in the top. And this was filled to the brim, right up to the top of the foil. And as you can see, nice sized pellets. They sink fast, so my pleco, my coolie loaches, my black loaches, my cories, my striped Raphaels, all get a chance to eat. And as soon as it goes in the tank, they come flying out and they all go for it. Even my platies will dive to the bottom and start pecking away at it. They try to catch it as it falls. My diamond tetras, my other tetras. Now, with the tropical granulars here, this too was, let me get it open, is filled to the top. And as you can see, it's got mixed coloring, which is the makeup of some of the fish meal and the spirulina and the spinach and stuff. So that in itself is actually good for the fish. It's giving them, supplements for stuff they're not going to get in the wild. And to me, because the basis of this formula is fish, to me, I would not call this poor quality. Now with the algae rounds, I do have rapashi. Actually, I just made my first batch of bottom scratcher, and I mixed in a little community stuff. The fish eat it. They love it. The platies go to town diving on it. The neons, the cardinals, they attack it. The pleco will graze on it, but out of the 3 rapashi formulas that I have tried thus far, I think, in my experience, the rapashi grub pie is probably the biggest hit in my tank, because my docile fish become piranhas when I drop in grub pie. But I did notice the intensity, the feeding intensity differed a little bit amongst the 3. So in my case, grub pie is definitely a win-win, and they definitely love it. So anyway, the algae rounds here, as they say, all natural ingredients. This too has the fish meal, which is the herring and mixed fish. Does have some fillers like wheat and alfalfa, but it does contain the spirulina. It does have shrimp meal. It has fish oil. It has spinach. It has garlic, as well as other vitamins. And all 3 of these do not cloud your water. I noticed way back in the day when Wardley was out, and using that, because that was like, it was either Wardley or Tetra back in the day. And I worked for the chain store that had just basically started, and I worked in the fish department. And I definitely noticed with Wardley, it does cloud the water, it mucks the water up. I am not a fan of Wardley products in general. Some people have great success with it, and God bless them. To me, I try to give my fish only the best. But at least with these algae rounds, because I do the rapashi, but it's not something I give them every day. I also have some omega stuff and some Hikari shrimp pellets. I have some of the Hikari crab, whatever it's called, pellets. And my bottom feeders go nuts for that. And as it softens up, my other fish will go in there as well. But I needed to get something a little bit bigger down in the bottom for my bushy nose, who's growing quite well, and I think is probably about 5 inches or so now. When I got the fish, it was probably only about 1.5 inches, 2 inches, give or take. And my striped Raphaels were really small. They were probably the size of this when I got them. And I hadn't seen them for 3 months. I thought they died. And, vacuuming my tank and everything, I didn't see any carcass or anything. And I was doing something in the tank and I saw a flutter under my driftwood. And lo and behold, here's my mini whale Raphael up underneath a piece of driftwood hugging the top. And then I saw movement, and the other Raphael had actually burrowed out a cave under the driftwood facing out. So they really stay tight to the cover until the lights go out. But I did see a video that somebody had done on, I'm not sure if it was this type of round or the round that actually has the algae around it and it has that fish meal or something inside. And in the person's video, I don't know if it was Brian from Captain Savage, or if it was Brian, I can't remember who it was, but they had talked about how, like, showing how it swells up once it gets to water, which causes it to swell up in a fish's stomach and stuff. So there's a lot of things to take into consideration on how you feed your fish. But this I got because I wanted something to get to the bottom fast. And then that, they may not come right out, but as it softens up, then it gives the cories, the coolies, the plecos, the cory babies, the whole 9 yards can actually feed on it. And I'm not so much worried about that bloating because they don't go right after it. But my fish love Aqueon, and I've used several different Aqueon products outside of food, like my 5575 filter, which I kind of hot rodded, which works a lot better now. And I got a free sample when I got my 40-gallon breeder of the Aqueon water clarifier, and that really worked. It definitely cleared my tank out, and this was all before I started putting in the Eheim Biomech media and the National Geographic biological filter media. And now that I've actually added it to my canister and to the HOB in the bottom, my tank stays really crystal clear. Yeah, and I do run Purigen, which hasn't been charged. It's got to be recharged, but the tank is definitely clean. The parameters are spot on. They don't fluctuate too much, if at all. And $4.99, $6.99, $4.99, and luckily I had enough reward points where that was free, and put it in the tank, and it basically did what I wanted it to do. This sank very slowly. Everybody got a chance to get one, and I think pellet versus flake, they all have their place, but with here they don't binge feed because they get that one pellet in their mouth and they work on it to slowly dissolve it and be able to consume it, which allows other fish to do the same thing, so they're not all competing or out competing each other for food. The pellets are able to drop down through my plants to the bottom, and it definitely allows the cories and the loaches to feed, and the pleco. And then just for an added boost or something that will last in the tank a little bit longer, I'll utilize the algae rounds, and it definitely works. So when you go to your stores, read the labels, see what's actually in the product, if it has any sort of fish meals or oils or some sort of fish content in it. And if it only has one or two, that may not be a good one for you. You want to try to give them a well-rounded food, and in my opinion, and at the price point, this really is not a bad food. Granted, the Hikaris, the Omegas, and I think I've been hearing a lot of talk about the top fin food, but I noticed searching the web for something the other day that there's a few places that are clearancing out a lot of the top fin food line that they carried. So is it that they just weren't selling, or they just don't deem it a good quality food and they only want the best in their store. I don't know, but I did notice that. And then with the fry food, the frozen brine, the freeze-dried brine, and the freeze-dried bloodworms from Aquarium Co-op, definitely good food, and my fish love it. The rapashi from Corey, you know, they'll eat all three, but to me, grub pie turns them into piranhas. So it's a win-win on that one. The fish fry is good, like if because usually I only feed once a day because there's enough natural food within the tank that I don't really have to feed them, you know, 2 or 3 times a day. But like maybe in the morning before work, I'll give a couple quick puffs of the fry food to, one, feed the various fries that I have in the tank, but also my tetra-based community all gets to eat. My Corys will go after it. My Pleco comes out looking for it. The loaches come out looking for it. So it's like a little supplement until I get ready to go to bed at night, and then I actually feed them. So do yourself a favor when you go to your store, check out the other foods that are out there. You may not have to spend $10, $12, whatever it is, on something this small that doesn't have the quality or quantity of fish products in it, where, you know, like I said, for $4.99, you're going to get yourself 3.25 grams, and I'm pretty sure your fish are going to eat it. But granted, fish will probably eat just about anything, unless it's that terrible, then they may shy away. But for the money, I think the Aqueon food line is pretty decent, and I know my fish eat it because I've used it periodically. So hope this helped you guys out when you go out looking for fish food, or you have that question, what's the best thing to feed my fish? In my opinion, I would stay away from Wardley. I just don't feel it's a good quality food. And I'm sorry for you, you know, for the Wardley fans out there that use it and it works for them. You know, I'm glad that it does. It's one of those cases of what's good for me may not be good for you, and vice versa. So I respect that in every aspect of fish keeping. So this is just a little information to get out there for you guys to provoke some thought and really look at the labels. It's the same with the food that you and I eat. You know, if you read some of the stuff that they sell, and, you know, they say that it's meat, or they say it's this or that, and then when you read the back of the label, 3/4 of it are byproducts and preservatives and additives. So, you know, think about that when you get fish food. You know, I'm pretty sure that, like myself, you guys and gals only want what's best for your fish or your shrimp or whatever you have in your tank. So read the label. An educated consumer is a smart consumer. Check for the amount of various fish product, and I can't stress that enough. You know, to me, it's like I'm going to feed them filet mignon versus cardboard that is just preservatives and additives and just nastiness. So, but then again, nothing beats, you know, natural food, the live brine shrimp, the live bloodworms, the white culture worms, the whatever worms, the Daphnia, you know, that is definitely something that you could supplement to your fish to really keep them in top form. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. As always, thank you for stopping by. Like, comment, subscribe, and keep those sleeves wet, and God bless.